You feel it before you understand it. A knot in your stomach before a big decision. A flutter before you walk into a room full of strangers. You call it a gut feeling. You treat it like a metaphor, but it is not a metaphor. Your gut has its own nervous system. It can think, react, and remember without asking your brain for permission. And for most of evolutionary history, it came first. Why does your stomach know things before your mind does? Start with something simple. You are about to give a speech. Your palms sweat, your heart races. But the strangest sensation is lower down, in your stomach. It twists, it tightens, it almost speaks. You assume this is just stress radiating outward from your brain. But the signal does not start in your head. It starts in your gut, and it travels upward. Inside the walls of your digestive tract lives a network of over 500 million neurons. That is more than your spinal cord contains. Scientists call it the enteric nervous system. Most people have never heard the term, but every person carries it, coiled through their intestines like a second brain, quietly running its own operations. This system does not wait for instructions. It can sense, decide, and act entirely on its own. Cut the connection between your brain and your gut, and your intestines keep working. They keep digesting. They keep contracting in rhythm. They do not need your conscious mind at all. Isn't that strange? To learn that part of you operates without you? Here is where the story gets older. Hundreds of millions of years ago, before animals had spines, before they had skulls, before anything resembling a brain existed, simple creatures still needed to do one thing well. They needed to find food, recognize it, and move it through their bodies. A small, worm-like organism, a distant ancestor of nearly everything that crawls, swims, or walks today, developed a ring of nerve cells around its gut. This ring did the thinking. There was no command center above it. The gut was the only brain there was. Researchers studying the evolution of nervous systems, including work associated with neuroscientist Michael Gershon at Columbia University, have traced how this ancient gut network never disappeared. It did not get replaced when brains evolved. It got absorbed. It became a partner system, running in parallel, whispering up the body's longest nerve, the vagus nerve, into the skull that came much later. So when your stomach twists with worry, you are not imagining a connection. You are feeling one of the oldest communication lines in the animal kingdom still doing its job. Think about what that means. Your brain is the newcomer. Your gut is the original. For decades, scientists assumed the relationship was simple. The brain decides. The gut obeys. Stress signals travel down, and the stomach reacts. But in the early 2000s, researchers began noticing something the old model could not explain. The signals were not one-directional. They ran both ways, and the gut was sending far more information upward than anyone expected. A landmark line of research from neuroscientist John Cryan and microbiologist Ted Dinan at University College Cork helped reveal just how much influence travels from the gut to the brain. Their work, alongside collaborators studying what is now called the gut-brain axis, showed that the trillions of bacteria living inside your intestines are not passive passengers. They produce chemical signals. They influence mood-related compounds. They can change how anxious or calm an animal behaves simply by altering what lives inside its gut. In one striking demonstration, researchers transferred gut bacteria from anxious mice into calm mice. The calm mice began behaving anxiously. Then they reversed it. Bacteria from calm mice given to anxious mice eased their behavior. Nothing about the brain had changed directly. Only the gut had changed, and the brain followed. Doesn't that complicate everything you thought you knew about where your personality comes from? Push the timeline forward. Into human evolution specifically. Early humans relied on instinctive, immediate reactions to decide what was safe to eat and where danger might be hiding. There was no time for slow, deliberate reasoning when a fruit might be poisonous or a rustle in the grass might be a predator. The gut's rapid signaling system, paired with raw emotional reflexes, kept ancestors alive long enough to pass on their genes. Slow thinkers who paused to rationally analyze every threat were, quite often, the ones who did not survive to reproduce. This is part of why gut reactions still feel so urgent today. You are not malfunctioning when anxiety hits your stomach before your mind catches up. You are running a survival system that predates language, predates tools, and predates the human brain as we know it. Modern neuroscience now estimates that the vagus nerve carries roughly 90% of its signals from the gut to the brain, not the other way around. Your stomach is not just listening to your thoughts, it is shouting at them, most of the time. Consider what this means for something as common as a difficult decision. You weigh the facts. You make a pros and cons list. You think you are being rational, but your gut, full of ancient neurons and trillions of microbes, has often already cast its vote before your conscious reasoning even finishes the sentence. That tight, uneasy feeling when something is wrong, even when you cannot explain why, is not superstition. It is data, transmitted through one of the oldest channels your body has. There is a deeper twist here. Depression and anxiety, conditions long treated as purely mental, are now being studied as conditions with a digestive dimension. Researchers have found that people with certain gut bacteria imbalances show higher rates of mood disorders. Some experimental treatments now focus on altering gut bacteria directly, not the brain, to ease psychological symptoms. If that approach continues to prove effective, it would mean that healing the mind sometimes starts in the stomach, not the skull. Picture what your ancestors would think, watching modern humans pop a pill for anxiety, unaware that part of the answer might be living inside their intestines the entire time, waiting to be listened to instead of overridden. This rewrites a basic assumption most people carry without question: the idea that thought is something that only happens in the head. The truth is messier and far more interesting. Cognition, in some loose but measurable sense, is distributed. Your gut detects, signals, and influences your emotional state continuously, whether or not you are paying attention. So the next time your stomach drops before a confrontation, or tightens before a confession, or settles only after you make a difficult choice, you are witnessing something far older than memory. You are witnessing the original decision maker, the first nervous system evolution ever built, still running quietly beneath every thought you believe is entirely your own. You feel it before you understand it. And maybe that has been the gut's job all along.